Okay, we're gonna learn F1 because a lot of people are interested in F1 and I have no clue the rules or whatever.
Why is a weekend 3 days? Mainly because in Formula One it's a bit of a classic to have 3 days. We use Friday as a free practice day.
So 3 days we have on the race weekend, we just have 3 hours of practice on the Friday.
Oh, are these
Generally, when
frequently
you get to the
asked
track,
questions?
You just need time to learn about the car, about the track, about the conditions.
We divide.
Learning about the car is actually really important. So I was playing a soda, something Competizione, Assetto Corsa, there you go. And I was trying to finish one lap and I didn't know the course at all. There was no like sign saying to slow down or not. And every single time I'll just a random corner out of nowhere, and like when what is called driving, I didn't know how much power I needed on like the pedals to be like super gentle and the speeds, like to be comfortable with the speed, and when to brake, like how far or how fast can you brake.
The weekend into 3 parts. Here we would practice, here we would qualify.
One reason I said all those nonsense is that to be transformative.
Here we would race. We use this day to learn everything we can about the car and the track.
Saturday is really about
Sounds like nonsense,
finding
but
the
it's
changes
fine.
you made in practice in the morning, qualifying for position to where you start in the race.
We use this day to exploit the maximum we can out of our machines to qualify as best possible for race day. That is the important day.
You couldn't definitely do it all in one day. There's not enough time or energy.
Practice is very important to prepare qualifying, but also to prepare mainly the race.
I actually never knew they practiced.
F1 points are awarded by the position.
Since there's so much cars,
if you win a race, you get 25 points.
And
the biggest gap
track
between
conditions
points is,
varies
in the
from
higher
day,
positions. So
from like
second,
morning and afternoon.
Third, it's
So
quite a big gap as well.
Who
But
gets
then it
to
gets
pick
closer,
what
and if you
day,
finish 10th,
I mean,
you get 1
what
point.
time
So F1 points are
during
awarded
practice
to cars
hours?
that finish in the top 10 positions. So starting with first place down to 10,
I think
you get 25
actually
points,
multiple
18,
cars should
15,
be
12,
able
10,
to
8, 6, 4, 2, and
race at
And
the
we
same
also have
time.
a point for the fastest lap of the race.
Valtteri Bottas is going for the fastest lap.
To gain that, sometimes you might need to compromise your strategy to put fresh tires at the end of the race when you have less fuel in the car, when the car is lighter. So you might try and go for it, but there's always a bit of a risk doing that.
Winner gets 25 probably.
25 what?
Second 18.
Oh,
15,
points. I thought it was like when it gets 25 million.
10th get 1 and everybody can come.
Sectors on the track are made for us to basically cut the track in a few sections, so it's clearer to us where we are losing time or where we are gaining time. Most of the tracks have 3 sectors in Formula One.
Wait, what is
We
this?
draw Barcelona very quickly here. Goes like that. It's very poor, but basically you divide it into 3. You have the first chicane, and turn 3. You have the second sector, and then you have the third sector. First sector, basically we call it the fast sector because you have the whole long straight and a very fast corner that is flat out. The second sector becomes a
The
bit
corners these
twistier
guys take is
and
insane,
medium
like
speed
at the
corners,
speed.
and the third sector is actually pretty slow.
So it's just easier for everyone
Like
to
they
say,
turn at
yes, something happening in
kilometers
sector 1, or
or
here's
higher.
something happening in other sectors.
And it helps the teams basically to divide the performance of their own car to learn in which type of corner you can improve.
Why are you laughing, man? I feel like an idiot.
I mean, it's not even the drivers.
Apex is... How do you
Ricardo.
explain it? It's funny, as a driver, you just do things and don't
Wait.
really... But okay, so let's use this one. So the apex is the point of the corner where you want to like close the corner to then give you the best trajectory to exit the corner in the fastest ways.
I never knew physics
is
were
the
involved.
Point you gotta reach in the middle of the corner, which is most of the time at the the apex, like around the curb. So yeah, middle of the corner, basically there and there.
An apex I'm going to draw you here on this lovely whiteboard. So we've got the racing
Isn't it
car
like-
here, and I'll draw the racing line, which is from the outside of the track, hitting the inside of the corner before running wide to the exit of the corner again.
The apex is the most central
I guess
and the slowest part of the corner.
The
but you
apex
never
varies
know
from turn to
where
turn,
the
I
grip is.
guess.
Sometimes it could be more like this. This could be late apex, early apex.
Ah, okay. Doesn't
You want
matter.
to come out a little bit higher up top.
It's just late and early.
So then flow through apex somewhere here.
I thought it was the very top
then
of the
come out
turn,
like that.
not
And that'll give you a trajectory where you can come late into
guess
the
it's
corner
technically
and kind of
is.
slingshot out. So that is what we call an apex, the point where we kind of close the corner.
And the apex is described at the point of which you hit the inside of the track. So we often describe it, hitting the apex around the corner, and most of the times, the more apexes you hit, the better it is.
There could be many different angles of doing this corner, depending on your car setup and wind direction and so on.
Wind direction? How do you
Learned
know?
something myself actually.
Actually, your team
Or
is going to
confuse
say,
myself even more, I don't know.
how about you're going, how do you keep your
And the
bearing? Do
steer
they
is when
also
you
have like a
turn
compass
and,
or it's like
car doesn't turn, basically.
wind northbound?
It's the front tire side. It's when you're,
I'm going in
you're turning
circles.
and the car stop. The rear of the car often pushes the car forwards, and it's just not the car's not rotating at the rate in which you're putting the angle in.
Generally, drivers don't
Wait.
like
Kind of missed the whole point.
Myself even more, I don't know.
Under and oversteer.
Understeer is when you turn and
Yep.
car doesn't turn, basically. It's the front tire side. It's when you're turning and the car stop. The rear of the car often pushes the car forwards, and it's just not
The wheels, there
the
it
car's
is.
not rotating at the rate in which you're putting the angle in.
Generally, drivers don't like understeer. I think
Really?
a general thing, I think road cars that you drive will have a lot of understeer because it's very safe.
Yeah.
But a quick car generally is oversteering. So you need the car to be reactive because that way you can carry the most speed through a corner.
Understeer and oversteer,
Interesting.
the two most famous words in an engineering debrief.
I thought they would
understeer
prefer
is when the car
oversteer because
is not responding
the tire grip,
to the amount
like
of
it
steering
grips so well
lock
to the track.
that you are.
I guess you want the middle.
Winding on. It's when the car understeers, and so you're demanding more steering lock for the amount of front end that you want.
Understeer is when you turn the steering wheel into a corner and the front of the car is sliding.
It just keeps going
so
forward.
The car is going straight more than you want to. And oversteer is the opposite, is that when you turn the steering wheel, the rear end slides and the car turns more than you want it to.
If you ever watch
Oh,
Fast and Furious,
rear
Tokyo
end
Drift,
slides.
that is oversteer. So the front, let's say if the trajectory of the car is doing this, let's say you're kind of, that's kind of
Gone.
what I mean, front and rear wheels.
Yeah, it's
following
all
the
about
line. The rear wheels would
when I
go,
play
let's
Assetto
say,
Corsa, it's all
past
about like the speed
the slip angle, past the line,
when turning
and
for me, and how
tends
much
to mean that the rear
power
is
you're giving the
losing
car.
grip. So when we complain about oversteer, will generally mean that the rear is moving too much and it's moving out of line. So yeah, you'll often see spins where we get a snap of oversteer and we do this. Insert one of my crashes.
Insert one of my crashes. Could you actually
The oversteer would be
could you actually save
come
that
into the corner
if you
a
like
bit
downshift
too fast,
it
perhaps,
and just
and you
Ah,
maybe
but
have
the
this
wheel will
kind of
spin.
moment when the rear slides and
I
you have
haven't
to make a
in
correction
a
because the rear, if you
Assetto
don't make a
Corsa,
correction, then you're
I
going
haven't
to
tried
then you're going to spin.
And oversteer
saving
is
an
when you
F1
turn and
car
it
from
turns too
crashing.
much, and usually overpowers the rear, so the rear
Usually I
steps
just
out and you have to correct.
Yeah, I have
like
a funny story.
instantly spin.
There was a Japanese driver who I used to race against in GP3, and I convinced him, he didn't know much English, so I convinced him that oversteer was understeer and understeer was oversteer.
No.
So for the first test, he was complaining of oversteer, but he meant
No.
understeer, and it was understeer. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was quite a funny joke.
That's kinda
but
evil.
Apparently it wasn't that funny.
Obviously.
Lockup is when you basically brake too hard and you exceed the amount of grip available. So the tire basically stops and locks, and it like, and you kind of get smoke because of the rubber and the friction, I guess, on the tarmac. So it's basically when you brake too hard.
Formula One lockups is something that you see quite a lot on TV. You see drivers finding the limit of the front tires, and it means that you're always trying to keep both axles under maximum deceleration, trying to slow the car as much as possible. But normally when you lock up, it's because you've applied too much brake pressure for the grip available, and the tire just stops.
So lockup is basically happens when you brake, because we don't have an anti-locking brake system like you do on your road cars. So basically, if I use this little demonstration here,
I thought
the
they
wheel's
had
turning as you're going down the straight, and when you brake,
ABS.
as opposed to kind of decelerating while still turning, it kind of stops turning, and you just pretty much go straight like that, and you basically can flat spot the part of the tire where it stops rotating, and it could create quite a big vibration while you're driving.
You do a lockup, and the tire is not grounded anymore. You've taken off a piece of tire because it's been rubbing against the asphalt.
I never knew it affected that much.
Then every time you start braking, it's very easy to hit this part of the tire and keep locking it up. So you start taking even more part of the tire. And then the next time you brake, it's easier to lock up again because the tire is more squared. And you end up, it's an exaggeration, with a tire that is nearly squared, and you need to pit because you have very little grip, a lot of vibrations, and it's nearly undrivable.
If you lock up for too long, then the rubber on that point starts to get chewed up, and you get what we call a flat spot after a lockup, and then you get vibration.
Wait. I guess they're too focused on the turn or slowing down, but when you see your wheel lock up, can you not just ease off the brake, or
which isn't fun? So a lockup is
too late?
Braking too hard, I guess that's the easiest
Or
way to say.
or does holding outweigh
Hard for
releasing?
me is when post-race or post-qualifying, the scrutineers and the officials check the cars. Our team can't touch the car, can't touch any special parts, so the car has to be checked like it is.
The car cannot be touched by any member of the team or any fan.
To make sure that there's no cheaters. Well, is it that more or less? Yeah, okay.
Imagine if they had this in esports, where at the end of the game or whatever, they just check everybody's computer, open the file manager, and everything. Say, yep, safe. That's pretty interesting. Learned a lot, and confirmed some of my thoughts. But I enjoyed that. Kind of woke me up a little bit. Like and subscribe.